Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. The Battle of Berlin in 1945 was a pivotal moment in World War II, marking the final major offensive in Europe against Nazi Germany. Lasting from April 16th to May 2nd, it culminated in the city's capture by Soviet forces, leading to the end of the war in Europe. The battle was characterized by intense urban combat as Soviet troops fought through the streets against determined German resistance. The battle began with a massive Soviet offensive, with troops under the command of Marshal Georgy Zhukov advancing towards Berlin from the east. The Germans, under the command of Adolf Hitler, were determined to defend the city at all costs. Hitler saw Berlin as the symbolic heart of the Third Reich and was unwilling to surrender it without a fight. The fighting in Berlin was brutal and unforgiving. Soviet troops faced fierce resistance from German forces, including SS units and Hitler Youth, members who were pressed into service as the situation grew more desperate. The city was heavily fortified, with defensive positions set up in buildings, streets, and even underground tunnels. As the battle raged on, the Soviet troops gradually gained ground, advancing through the city block by block. The fighting was often hand-to-hand, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The Soviet forces also faced logistical challenges, as the city had been heavily bombed and supplies were scarce. Despite the fierce resistance, the Soviet troops steadily pushed forward, and by the end of April, they had encircled the city and cut off all avenues of escape for the remaining German forces. On April 30th, as Soviet troops were closing in on his bunker, Hitler committed suicide. His death marked the end of the Nazi regime and the beginning of the end of World War II in Europe. On May 2nd, the German forces in Berlin surrendered, and the city fell to the Soviet troops. The Battle of Berlin had been one of the bloodiest battles of the war, with estimates of the number of dead ranging from 125,000 to 200,000. The battle also had a profound impact on the city itself, as much of Berlin lay in ruins, with many of its iconic landmarks destroyed. The capture of Berlin by the Soviet forces was a turning point in the war, signaling the imminent defeat of Nazi Germany. It also marked the beginning of the division of Berlin and Germany into East and West, as the city became a focal point of the Cold War between the Soviet Union and the Western Allies. In conclusion, the Battle of Berlin in 1945 was a pivotal moment in World War II, marking the final defeat of Nazi Germany in Europe. The battle was characterized by fierce urban combat and heavy casualties, but ultimately it led to the liberation of Berlin from Nazi rule. The legacy of the battle and the war itself continues to be felt today as it shaped the course of European history in the 20th century. Thank you for watching. Show me the love by liking and subscribe.